Welcome to Now. I'm your host, Curtis Parody, bringing you the news happening in the world right now. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you had an awesome weekend. And hey, the weekend may or may not be over for you, because if you live in the US, well, it's Memorial Day today. Many are spending the day out remembering those men and women who lost their lives keeping their country safe. President Obama commemorated the day by laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. So don't forget to pay tribute, because without those brave men and women who fought for your country, you would not be living the life you are today. Keeping on the memorial theme here, many people in the UK today have been laying more flowers and balloons at the spot where Lee Rigby lost his life. People came from across Britain to where the 25-year-old lost his life last week, paying tribute to a man who served his country well. Though unfortunately only a few blocks away, many protesters took to the streets, chanting anti-Muslim slurs and waving the British flag. This was then met by opposition, to the point where police had to not only be called into the location, but actually close off the area to traffic due to the sheer number of people on the streets. Unfortunately, violence did quickly break out between the two groups, though police quickly brought it back under control. And on another unfortunate note, last night a Grimsby mosque was hit by a petrol bomb when people and even children were inside. Now, according to a man inside the mosque, they had just finished their prayers and were then discussing, how to thank other neighbors for supporting them and showing support over the past couple of days. Then they heard a large bang and saw fire coming underneath the door. At this time, police have a man in custody, and he will be facing charges for, of course, what he did. If you want to learn more about everything that's happening right now in the UK, because there's tons of stuff happening, I've placed a great link to it in the description below. Check it out, read the whole article. It's filled with lots of pictures and a lot of information. For myself, when I see something like this happening, I kind of weep for humanity. Looking at what happened at the mosque, those people, they weren't responsible for the attack on the British soldier. They're just simple people like, you or me that have a slightly different religious view. They didn't kill anyone or even harm anyone, and this is probably a very difficult time for them. There's no reason that you as an individual should go all vigilante on this event. I'll say it once and I'll continue to say it over and over again. You're not helping the situation. If you think setting a mosque on fire or staging a big protest will help anything, it's not. I'm sorry, to be a realist here, but you're not helping anything. All you're doing is taking resources, that being men and women in uniform, away from things that they should be doing, and then they have to come over and babysit you because you're messing shit up. Just remember, everyone, brains beat brawn. Think before you act, and that's all I really have to say. Next, let's move on to some news that happened over the weekend that once again involves a cruise ship. A Royal Caribbean international ship caught fire over the weekend. The Grandeur of the Seas was still able to operate under its own power, though it was escorted by a US Coast Guard ship to the Freedom Port. This happened hours after the fire actually broke out on the aft mooring decks of the ship. During this event, of course, passengers were being escorted to the top decks of the ship. They were, of course, wearing life jackets in the event the fire got any worse. Danielle Miller quickly took out her camera and recorded the entire event, talking about how they were on deck. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning. They had their life jackets on, and she repeatedly said this wasn't a drill. The ship finally arrived in Freeport around 10 o'clock in the morning, and the power and communication systems on board were still working, which of course is a great thing. Once docked, the passengers were allowed, of course, to disembark off of the ship. Luckily, no one was injured because of this event, which is great to know, and the president and CEO of Royal Caribbean is on his way to the ship to talk to the people about the event. Now, of course, this isn't the first time a cruise ship has been in the news lately. Back in January 2012, there was the Costa Concordia crash, which killed 32 people when it rolled over in the ocean. Then in February, an engine fire on the Carnival Triumph set it adrift with no power, and people were just going crazy aboard that. Then in March, the Carnival Dream lost power as well. And let's not forget what happened aboard the Carnival Spirit. During that cruise, a man and woman actually fell overboard off the coast of Australia. They are unfortunately presumed dead. So is it just me, or are cruise ships not looking so great anymore? How about instead of possibly being stranded on a ship at sea, let's stay on land and just dip my toes into the sea? That sounds way better. Either way, of course, the cruise ship industry is going to have a hard time ahead of them with all of these problems that kind of persist around it. Jumping from cruise ships to buildings now, looks like the battle between the high-tech campuses has just begun. Apple released its plans a few years ago for its spaceship-like campus that will soon be built in Cupertino, California, and now other big tech companies are doing the same. Facebook recently released its plans for its huge new eco-friendly campus that looks a lot more like a park than like a building. The main structure of this new building is covered and surrounded by greenery. Google's new campus also takes a similar turn, more green spaces and some interesting building designs. But Amazon's new campus is not something to be overlooked. Two attached biodomes will become the future campus of Amazon in downtown Seattle. All these different campuses have a very big plan to incorporate nature back into their spaces, while at the same time being something that stands out compared to the boring square buildings of today. Of course, the real question when you look at all of these, whose is the best? Apple's new campus is quite amazing, being like one giant ring all the way around, though Facebook's attempt to be as green as possible is quite astonishing. The first of these buildings to be constructed will be the Apple Campus 2, which is expected to be completed in 2016, of course as long as everything goes to plan, and with the size of this building and the complexity, I have a feeling there'll be a few delays. And last, a quick story here today. Robbie Rogers made history yesterday, becoming the first openly gay pro athlete in the US. He made history on Sunday when he took to the field with the Los Angeles Galaxy to play Major League Soccer. Rogers originally retired from the sport in February when he revealed on a post on his blog that he was gay, but he didn't stay in retirement for long. He soon began training with the Galaxy in April after an invitation from the coach. His first game back went really well, and he states that of course it's like a learning process here, and he simply asks people to remember that of course he's human and he's going to try to be as good of a person as he can possibly be. Obviously a great accomplishment for not only Rogers, but of course the sport itself. So jumping back to the second topic of today, with all the events happening on cruise ships recently, do you still feel safe on a cruise ship type vacation? Let me know in the comment section below, or of course you can always let me know on my Facebook page, through Twitter, or on Google+. Links to all that and the other articles I talked about in today's episode in the description below. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit up the like button and subscribe for more Great Now content, because of course it is free after all. So until next time, I'm Curtis Parody, and that's what's happening now. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can of course check out more videos that I create by clicking on them below. Check out Now for the latest news happening in the world right now, Paradise Gaming for some fun gameplay videos, or of course my personal vlog channel to see what I'm doing outside of my studio. Also, if you're interested in supporting the show and getting some new clothes for yourself, just like this shirt, you can pick up this one if you want. Check out the store at thecurtisparodystore.ca. Bye everyone.